Our guest today is Mr. Tugay Keskin, Director of Operations in Coca-Cola Beverages. Firstly, welcome and thank you very much for admitting our invitation. The first question is quite a general one. Please tell us more about yourself, company, and the operations you're in charge of. Firstly, thank you very much for your kind invitation. It's been an honor to me to be a part of your summit. Speaking of myself, of course, I was born in Izmir in 1968. After getting graduated from University of Ankara, Faculty of Politics, I joined the family of Coca-Cola Beverages later, like in 1993. And since then, I've been assuming different responsibilities and roles in the company. Currently, I'm the Director of Operations. Now, I would like to briefly speak about Coca-Cola Beverages. Firstly, it was founded in Turkey, but now it's been covering 10 different countries in 26 factories. 8,500 employees are active. Listing down the countries: Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Tajikistan, plus Turkey. And of course, within the system of Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola Beverages and other similar structures are defined as bottlers. Now, the sixth largest bottling operation is conducted here. Within our geography, of course, there are very important set of potential values. Actually, we are a part of a big ecosystem, and within this ecosystem, there are 10 different countries, including more than 1 million customers. Maybe every week, 80% of them are being visited face-to-face, representing the brand, which is important because within the system of Coca-Cola, and as you know, it's been distributed to all geographies. Similar bottling operations are there. In our geography, we have almost 400 million of a population, which is also a very young population. Economically, maybe per capita income, it might not be that bright a geography, but future-wise, I think thanks to this young population, we will be functioning in a bright geography. Of course, the sector that we're in, we have the vision of being the best in this sector in all aspects, in terms of customers and consumers, stakeholders, society, our people and employees. I think our aim is to be defined as the best. And we have the common perspective. I mean, our main goal, I have to say that as for the main goal for the joint umbrella, we are sharing with all the customers, our people, our society, which we have as adding value to the society and everything that we live around, and we are there to put extra value. And of course, achieving this vision, we are basing ourselves in very fundamental values coming from our DNA, our roots, our identity, which are passion, and we do with love whatever we do, and we advocate our brand with love. We present our brand to our consumers with love. We are in teamwork, and we believe in teamwork. No one can do it alone, and we know the importance of doing it as a team. And maybe on the fundamentals of these values, there are two main values that we consider as foundation. Number one, accountability, and the other one is integrity. Now, we're basing ourselves in these two fundamental values, whether we do in our vision, and this can also be summarized in a nutshell. Thank you for the fantastic introduction, popping up tens of questions in my mind. Maybe the next question will be based on two different different parts of the questions that come to my mind. Number one is, let's just remember, today we are speaking about third-party ethics and compliance risks. And taking a look at FCPA, the Compliance Act of the United States, almost 300 investigations are conducted. 90% almost is involving third parties. Any act against the law would involve the fact that the companies are using third parties as a bridge. So speaking of third party, we are speaking about ethical compliance. So I'd like to go on with two questions. Number one, what is your perspective about compliance and as Coca-Cola beverage, and what is your practice there? But you said before that, you said that you're doing everything with love, marketing, our approach with people. Do you have love into the ethical compliance as well? Love is there whatever we do, so one of the fundamentals is also there. And I also have to say, yes, I mean, not maybe only the values, but we all have the jargon. We just keep saying bringing the bar higher, and we are of course the leader in the market, but we want to be the role model, to be a responsible corporate citizen in the society. I have to say that we are spending best efforts for that. Maybe it would be up to third parties to decide, but as someone from inside, I can say that being a leader, being a pioneer and advocating it as with love and bringing it maybe to many parties down the scale, I think would be our vision. Of course, ethical compliance, as I said, it is really critical for us to be a responsible corporate citizen, and of course to make sure that sustainability can be achieved or maintained. One of the rules of thumb is to have an effective application of ethical compliance, and we are quite aware of it, and we must do it at all levels. Now that we're working in a corporate structure, maybe I didn't say it, but we are a public company. We are quoted in the Istanbul Stock Exchange and also over the bench markets in the United States. In the Irish market, the Eurobond is just being processed. And of course, there we have the executive committee within ourselves. With this committee, we are always working in parallel with the ethics and compliance committee. We are working in a broad geography, including different countries, but the compliance directorate is in charge of all these geographies. Also, there are ends within other geographies. We have the ethics and compliance managers who are working in different geographies. Therefore, for 100% compliance with ethical values in all these valuations, they all are quite aware of their corporate values, corporate responsibilities. But it's not maybe enough because it maybe within the organization, it's just down there in the organizational chart, but going maybe from top to bottom before moving on to third parties, it is quite critical that our people internalize this approach, to support it, and to identify ethical compliance policies. And I know also that there are ethical codes that are being executed in different frameworks. And it's not about sanction, but reputation that we care about. And the brand, we have a motto about the brand. Brand means a commitment. And, the previous president of Coca-Cola says that brand is a commitment. So we're working with this philosophy. We are representatives of a good brand, and it is really important to make sure that it sustains, not a sanction, punishment. Rather than that, we are aware that we are working with the responsibility of representing a big brand that is reputed, and it's really important that everyone knows it, puts it in the core of their lives. Therefore, this ethical code is in our DNA. Once we structure our way of of functioning on our DNA, we are going to be more efficient. Otherwise, it's not important to put forth sanctions or punishments in the pipeline. It is important to adopt integrity, reliability as the main and the core principle. That is really important to serve for reputation. And other than that, for ethical compliance, I think it is really important to be quite transparent, and we are sharing everything with our employees. Also, our control committee is working on the disciplinary investigations. They're just looking into different cases, sometimes corruption, human rights, different functions are involved, of course. Now, reporting as well. Therefore, we are running all the processes within the matter of transparency. May I interrupt? I believe that it is important to provide some means for people to make denunciation. If you want to be involved, of course, it takes courage. You know, the corporate governance, I think, should have the milieu that paves the way for a proper control. Because you're speaking about a big responsibility, and it's not bound to laws in your case. You have something quite bravely just put forth as a line for making denunciations. It's not an easy job for a big company to effectively execute such a practice. And by the way, I have to say that we have the multi-language, facilitation in this line. This is like a hotline, and it's not just working within the company, but extending it to the third parties, including our dealers, because also we are just communicating that we have this line available to everyone. Because once applied properly, you have to make sure that there is really thrust in the eye of the people. And as long as you make sure that the thrust goes on, all the leaks per se can quite well be improved in this way of functioning. So people will have the chance of also confirmation. And I really I care about this hotline very much. Communicating it properly to everyone, including the third parties, is also important. And our employees are quite transparently informed that we're receiving these the data on the hotlines, and we're sharing it with our employees every year. And we are using our joint communication platforms and all platforms, making people updated as to how the system is functioning. So we want to make sure that this platform would improve awareness in the eye of ethics and compliance. I'm very happy to be running this interview with you because you really say important things. It's not a motto, it's how your company is applying this internally. Hopefully, people will be inspired of what you're saying. Let's take one step further then, and let's just say that you've put a good framework for ethics and compliance. And the third party risks, to be able to manage these risks, you should have a good and favorable milieu within the company, which I think will be the main discussion point in this session. Ethical compliance risk. Now, in introduction, you said something that made me think. There is the region that you're in charge of as Coca-Cola Beverage, and just a few days ago, there was the corruption index published by Transparency International, and the countries that you listed, unfortunately, are not the ones that have good ranks in terms of corruption, which I think is really important important to increase responsibility of a company. Let's come to third parties, your partners, your business, partners. Who are your third parties? The question is, it's not possible for you to do everything wherever you go, which I think is the biggest rationale for having to work with third parties. And the companies are going to other countries, other geographical places. They're looking for other third parties to run their business quite effectively. Although third parties would give us some advantages, unfortunately, they would have attached risks in the process. My question is, both in Turkey and within the region as broader, what do you do in terms of identifying third-party risks? And how would you decide in the third parties that you're willing to work with in your pipeline? And once you start working with third parties, how would you track? How would you follow your third parties? So in other words, can you give us some idea about how you're applying your third-party program? I can, sure. Thank you, by the way. But what you're saying is really an ongoing process. It's a continuous learning process. When you go to new geographies, you keep learning new things. And when you're not expecting it, you would all at once realize that there are unexpected risks coming up. So the internal risk detection mechanisms are improved all the time. And I think it's really important to be able to do that, to be more proactive. And we're not just stopping there. We get some advisory service from outside. It's really important to stick to integrity, principle of integrity. We bring it wherever we go because our culture is quite rich, but in our core and practice and philosophy, we share it with everyone that we're basing ourselves with integrity. But saying is not enough. What do we do in practice? First, about big suppliers. Our Coca-Cola system has been functioning for more than 130 years in more than 200 countries. So we have some learnings from there. And there, of course, there is a preliminary knowledge that we have out of this process. And of course, we have this, of course, mechanism for pre-investigation, and after that, looking into main ethics and business management. All our suppliers receive a part of their contract to comply with the ethical principles. We take their word and we highlight the fact that it is a priority for us. This is how it is with the suppliers, but on the other hand, there is a dealer network that we're running. And in all geographies, by 70–80%, we're running our business with the dealers. What does it mean? The dealers represent us. As people are just wearing the Coca-Cola, uniforms out there on the streets, even with the people serving on the streets in the name of Coca-Cola are expected to stick to these principles. Whoever is shaking hands with the people on the street, whoever they're just being dealt with, of course, it would be that person that they will be basing themselves for the reputation of Coca-Cola beverage. So I need to extend my arms and legs there as well, down to that level, to make sure that our principles are adhered to. So dealers are really important priorities for us in this respect. We involve them in all our processes, and in terms of training, in all our dealers meetings, we want to get them involved in the discussions in knowledge sharing about ethics, values, ethics. Compliance managers are all attending the meetings that we're running to update our people about recent developments for compliance, delivering trainings. And it's not enough, because this year we've just started a new project with EBRD, which I think is quite exciting. With EBRD, we are running this project for the medium-scaled enterprises, or the SMEs, so to say. so as to improve their ethical functioning, to contribute to their institutionalization, and to make sure that such principles are introduced into their lives. Some pilot dealers are selected. In this respect, the compliance processes will be designed. Risk management mechanisms will be improved. We've started with sample dealers. Perhaps this is going to be the first step. And after that, the learnings will be handed over to all the dealers under a certification program. And the ethical compliance processes will be supported with the certification program. And our dealers will have the certification. So the ethical compliance processes will be made sure to be taken down to the lowest level in our structure. And this is going to be supported with our projects. Thank you. About third parties, by the way, you have a lot of dealers. And when managing all these dealers, are you making use of your technology? And have you ever had any practice for third parties?
Anlamındaki teknolojiden bahsediyorsanız şu anda benim içerisinde olduğum bilgim dahilinde bir teknoloji kullanımı yok. Ama az önce de bahsettim, sürekli öğreniyoruz. Bu anlamdaki danışmanlıklarımızı da sürekli geliştiriyoruz. Ama eminim şöyle, yani teknoloji kullanımı, eğer böyle bir iletişim platformundan bahsediyorsanız, bu süreç içerisinde aynı nasıl daha önceki toplantılarımızı bu anlamda hani yüz yüze yapıp da
just like we made in our previous meetings, while we were exchanging opinion and information, we are doing remote meetings, online meetings. That's something I can tell. Apart from that, as I mentioned before, ethical reporting line, independent report line or reporting line, actually CCI ethical report line is accessible. They can see it, they can view it. If any irregularity or corruption is found, then they can easily contact us. And that's all I can tell you as an example. Let me add you an example and confirm once again the fact that you are in the right path. International corruption review experts stated that 50 the reports were coming from inside and 50 coming from the outside. So both with responsibility, both with courage, report line should be accessible to all the interested parties. This is important. So report line, people think that this is only accessible by the employees, by the workers. However, accessible to all the stakeholders is very significant. Yes, this is something very effective and we get very good results, benefits from it. We are developing our system in a speedy manner, and I can say that this is one of the best methods. And when you look at its impact, you can see that it can easily be implemented, materialized. However, credibility is very vital, and the right environment is very significant. Creation of the right environment is what is important indeed. I learned a lot from you. I heard very good news from you. You talked about concrete steps and practices. I believe that our participants can make use of your method. So this is the end of our interview by TEID, Ethics and Reputation Society. Thank you very much. We always do support such practices and we will continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Ben çok
Thank
teşekkür
you
ediyorum.
back.
Katkım olabildiyse
Thank you.
mutlu bana. Çok sağ olun.
İyi günler efendim.
Have a
Sağ olun.
good day. Thanks.